All right, I just wanted to go over the magic number method of subnetting. So I feel like I did a sort of a poor job in class explaining how it works, and I just wanted to clarify a little bit on that. So I've already filled out most of this. We're just going to talk about the magic number aspect of it, but since it's a Class B network, we have 16 network bits, and that leaves us 2 bits left over here for the subnet, and 14 bits left over for the host bits. So with only 2 subnet bits, that gives us 4 subnets that we're working with here. So I've drawn out 4 sections for subnetting. I'm using the mask of /18 just for the purpose of teaching this. Um, that way I have less to draw and I can show you the entire thing. Um, so the octet of interest up here is the octet where we're going to be doing all of our work in. Everything before it is going to stay the same. Everything after is all host bits. And so the last bit that's turned on in the subnet mask in the octet of interest is going to define our magic number here. So in this case, our magic number is 64. Move that up there. So if this was the last bit that was turned on, magic number would be 128. If this was it, the magic number would be 32, so on and so forth. The example I had in class had 32 as being the magic number. I just changed it to 64 for the sake of only having 4 subnets to work with here. So what that magic number tells me is I like to call it it's the block number. It's how many numbers are going to be in the block of your subnet in the octet of interest. So 64 is my value here. So in our first subnet, um, again, there's 4 subnets in this network address that we're working with here. So in the first subnet of this, we have, it would help if I selected the pencil, I have a value of 0 and a block size of 64 up to a value of 63. And in the second subnet we have, with a block size of 64, it starts at 64, goes to a value of 127. In subnet 3, the subnet starts at 128 with a block size of 64. The value ranges to 191. And in subnet 4, it is 192, to a block size of 255. So these are the network addresses and the broadcast addresses of all 4 subnets that are possible with this network address. And so I'm trying to, we know that this falls in one of these categories, and I'm just trying to figure out which one it fits into. So, I mean, just by looking at it, you can very obviously see that 104 fits between 64 and 127 here in subnet 2. So obviously this is going to be the subnet's network address or the subnet address, and this is going to be the subnet's broadcast address. Um, that's kind of drawing out, showing every aspect, every subnet in the network. And if you had a mask of /22 here, there would be a lot more, what I think 64 different subnets that I would have to draw out here, which is why I use the mask that I did, so I only had to do this 4 times. So what I was doing in class was, let me grab my calculator here, was I was taking 104, which is the octet of interest here that we're trying to work with here, and I'm dividing it by our magic number, 104 divided by 64, and that tells me that I am past the first subnet here, and I am into the second subnet. I am, for the sake of it, 0.625 into the second subnet. And so I took the floor of that, and I'll also take the ceiling of that. So I have a value of 1, and I will have a value of 2. And with those, I'll take 1 times 64, my magic number. That gives me my subnet address. And I will take 2 times 64. And it starts at 0. So you kind of have to account for that. I think I did that in class where I wrote 128 instead of 127. You just have to account for the fact that 0 is also a value and it doesn't start at 1. So um, 1 times 64 subnet address, and then I'll take 2 times 64, and I'll just minus 1 from that. It'll give me 127. And that is how I got those values. For Let me give a different address here. I'll say 222.32/22. Um, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so this is the octet of interest for the subnet mask. The magic number here is 4. So each of our range of subnets is only going to be a range of 4 in these instances. So breaking out my calculator, I'll take 222. I'll divide it by the magic number of 4. I will take 55 as my floor, and I'll take 56 as my ceiling. 55 times 4 is 220 is the subnet address. And 56 times 4, 224, or minus 1, 223 is our broadcast address. I find it to be a much quicker way to get these numbers. You can, let me, I've been using this calculator or this website to help me with these. So for this, let me just pull this over here. And I will have to figure out how to do division without a calculator, I suppose. So new problem, I know 195, 110, 159. This is our octet of interest. This is going to be a magic number of 32. So I take 215 divided by 32. I got 6 and 7. 6, 192 times 32, 224. And I can just fill in the rest. Oh, I do that almost every time. I always forget to subtract the 1. Um, and that shows me that I've gotten it. I just find it to be a much faster way um, to calculate the subnet address and the broadcast address. I'm basically just finding the range. The magic number just tells you the range of the addresses that you're working with. And when I was doing 104 divided by 64, this just tells me I'm in subnet 2, and this is the one I'm looking for. All right, thank you.